What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? How are you? Happy Thursday in the place to be. What is going on? What is going on? It's your girl, Yasmin Shiraz, and we are doing our Thursday Yasmin Breakdown Live. We got receipts. That's what we are talking about today. And so I have three really great stories for you. Let me put the image back up so that you can see it. I'm going to make it smaller, but we have some interesting stories for you today. We have some WNBA stories. We have some Tyra Banks stories. We have something with the author, Tommy Adeyemi of Children of Blood and Bone. And we have some really interesting stuff that's going on with the NBA. So let me see which WNBA. So let me see which story we're going to hit up first. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. So so story one, we're going to start with the WNBA today as our first story. And so there is an increase of racist abuse toward WNBA players. Go ahead and subscribe to this page because I am going to break something down. It is not a figment of your imagination. If you believe you have been seeing more racist abuse toward WNBA players, it's because you have. I'm about to give you 7 points about this very issue. So the WNBA, the WNBPA, right, which is the Women's National Basketball Players Association, held a rare joint meeting July 21st, right? So point one, the WNBA and the WNBPA, which means the Women's National Basketball Players Association, held a rare joint meeting July 21st, specifically to address a surge in racist, hateful, and abusive messages toward players. Okay? And so if you have been following the WNBA recently, you may be aware of some of these things, or you might have been thinking like, gosh, am I really seeing what I think I'm seeing? And you have been. So I feel like I could have weighed in on the meeting that the WNBA and the WNBPA had because I receive so many racist messages on any of my WNBA posts, videos, okay? Especially any videos mentioning Angel Reese or mentioning Alyssa Thomas. And I'd also like to mention that I get the racist comments when the video is up and it's something very positive about Angel, like, oh, she got to 1,000 rebounds. Oh, she got to 1,000 points. Oh, she got to whatever. And it's not her, fouling anyone, no one fouling her, nothing, crazy. I still get tons. And when I say tons, I mean a lot. I have videos on Facebook, like clips or what have you. They may have 50,000 or so views on them, 25,000. And it could be a completely uplifting post. And I get nothing but racist comments, or a lot of racist comments. So let me give you the second point about this story. This meeting included the WNBPA's executive committee and its Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, they call that JEDI committee, right? And the meeting was requested by the union, okay? Now, the president is Nanika Umgumwaike, and she is like a 10-time WNBA All-Star, and she was recently reelected to her fourth term. Okay, so a lot of times people don't realize, but our sports organizations in the WNBA, they have their own union, which is what the Women's National Players Association is, right? It is official union for the WNBA. It was established in 1998 to protect players' rights, advocate for fair compensation and safe working conditions, okay? And also support athletes in maximizing their potential on and off court. Why I read that out is because the safe working conditions is what we're talking about. If players are getting threats, if they're getting threats to their bodies, to their lives, if they're getting racist type of, things thrown in their way, this is taking away from safe working conditions. A lot of people get a little fuzzy on that, but that's what it is. So let me give you the third point of why this matters. Trigger point. Aces guard Chelsea Gray. That's the young lady that is at the top of the photo, okay? The top person over there. That's Chelsea Gray, in case, you don't watch the Aces. She publicly shared a racist DM that she received after a loss to Indiana, okay? Now, here's the deal, right? The online abuse occurred following a physical on-court play where Gray drew a foul on Caitlin Clark. Gray's Instagram story sparked massive online responses, outraged the whole thing. Fans then identified the troll's employer and reported the conduct, resulting in immediate real-world consequences. Employment firing. The sender was apparently an employee for Hilton Grand Vacations, and so the company subsequently fired him. And let me tell you, this is what Hilton Grand Vacations said. Quote, his behavior was in violation of multiple company policies and does not reflect our company's values in any way. ESPN reported this. CBS News reported it, right? So also the Las Vegas organization, Aces organization, they issued a strong statement condemning the hate speech and throwing their full support behind Gray. So great, now we can go on a Hilton Grand Vacation. But like they fired the person, okay, cool. And then the Las Vegas Aces, they said, hey, let's deal with this as well. Let's stand behind Gray. Wonderful. Now, Phoenix, Alyssa Thomas, you guys, we've talked about her. I've talked to her many times. Her and her family, they're receiving racist messages and death threats after her suspension for contact with Caitlin Clark's throat. And this is the one that I really want to weigh into heavily and significantly. I did a video where I talked about the incident. I talk about what I thought that I saw or whatever. And when I tell you guys, I had comments where people were saying this person needs to be placed in jail. And it blows my mind because we are talking about professional sports where fouls happen. Now, understand, every foul is not a flagrant foul. Sometimes things happen, what have you. But when people start talking about taking away your freedom while you have done something on the court, intentionally, unintentionally, these kinds of things in sports, it is mind blowing. And so you have fans who are recommending jail time and giving death threats to players. I don't think that's acceptable. I wouldn't want, if I was an organization, I wouldn't want any fans like that. Now, the fifth point, in response to this type of thing, the league committed to, quote, enhance security resources and explore partnerships on digital safety and anti-harassment, right? But we don't have a concrete policy named yet. Now, this reminds me of FIFA. Right? FIFA's very quick with talking about they're doing an investigation, and then you never hear of it, right? You never hear what happened, right? And so I would like to know definitively from the WNBA if you're trying to enhance security resources or you're making a commitment to do it, what does that look like? What does digital safety look like to the WNBA? What does anti-harassment look like to the WNBA? I mean, I would like to see actual steps and what is happening to this initiative. It feels like a lot of words and no action, but of course I want to be fair and give them the opportunity, but I am going to keep my eyes on it, and I want you all to keep your eyes on it as well if you are in fact if you watch the WNBA. Also, the next point number 6, you guys, and this one is a doozy, so I hope you're sitting down. The same week that all of this happened, where, hey, the Women's Basketball Players Association, has this meeting or whatever, is the same week that Congress is publicly pressuring the WNBA over fouls against Clark. Let me say that again. The same week that the WNBA Players Association is meeting over death threats, over all sorts of like anti-harassment stuff that they're getting, basic racist abuse, right? Congress is publicly pressuring the WNBA over fouls against Clark. So let's get into that for a moment, right? The House Republican Study Committee, led by Rep. August Flugler, sent the WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert a letter demanding accountability for physical fouls against Clark. So this is interesting. Congress has time to monitor what happens in the professional league of women basketball players, right? So they're going to just come in and tell you how to run your business. I'm not sure they're doing a great job running Congress, but now they got time today. Another thing, the letter that they sent, it cites incidents including Alyssa Thomas's throat contact with Clark, which was graded to a flagrant 2 and drew a 1-game suspension. So just imagine, American people, that the people that you have elected and voted into Congress are sitting there, with their clothes on, and they have their tablets and they have their pencils and their paper, and they're monitoring the fouls that are happening against Caitlin Clark in a WNBA game. Imagine that. This is American tax dollars at work. The lawmakers explicitly floated DOJ and EEOC investigation, right? Framing it as a, quote, hostile work environment under federal civil rights law. You cannot make this up. They have time today. All right. And the letter claims, I have more. The letter claims that some fouls against Clark may be racially motivated. Notable since Clark is white and the players involved are largely black. Now, what's interesting about that particular point, right? The majority of the players in the WNBA, are black women. So now, if you're saying to me, if a black player fouls a white player, then there's going to be an accusation that it's racially motivated. This is what Congress has time to do. And so let me tell you sort of the fallout from this so far, right? Let me just share a little bit of the fallout. Since the letter, referees have been flagged at reviewing Clark-involved plays for hostile act status, including a Chelsea Gray matchup where the review upheld the original call. I really want us to think about that tonight. I want us to sit with it, that Congress is sitting up there putting the pressure on the WNBA for how they are running their organization and who is fouling Caitlin Clark. If that makes sense to somebody, please let me know, because it sounds crazy to me. Now, the seventh point of this story, I promised you 7 points today on this story, and I want to make sure I'm getting them all in. The seventh point, the league already has a quote, no space for hate platform and an AI comment filtering tools, right, from last season's. But everything is telling us that whatever they have regarding comments and things like that and harassment, it's not working, right? So they need a comment overhaul. And I have to say mine does too. When I see personally the offensive or the racist comments, particularly I see a lot of them on just like Angel Reese posts where it doesn't have anything to do with anybody, I immediately block the people. I realize that they're bots. I realize that it's spam. But here's the thing. If you see that the comment filter isn't working, what else can you be doing? I had a YouTube comment recently, and I think it was 2 paragraphs where someone was telling me what I felt about Angel Reese was wrong. And I was so offended that I wasn't going to get my 3 minutes back from reading that comment. I can't even tell you. I wish I would have had some mechanism that prevented that comment from ever coming through to give me my 3 minutes back. But here's the thing. I gave you 7 different points, but this is what I don't want you to miss. Right? The black players, right? They have named direct, documented racist abuse and death threats, right? And the result was a joint statement and ongoing dialogue. We're going to talk about it. We're going to keep an eye on it. You heard what I said, right? A white star getting hard fouls, and some of them are also just fouls. They're not like, like the one where it was like, the girl, the knee bumped into her and, like this is a physical sport. It wasn't like someone needs you to the groin, right? It gets federal accountability with a DOJ EEOC threat and a response deadline, right? So let's just compare these again. The black players have named something direct, documented racist abuse and death threats, right? They get a joint statement. They get ongoing dialogue, right? A white star getting fouls, and some of them flagrant or whatever they are, it gets a federal accountability letter with a DOJ EEOC threat and a response deadline. Same league, same season, 2 very different right? Velocities of concern. The WNBA is not even attempting to treat these situations the same, and neither is Congress. And so it's very blatant. And I just wanted to call that out today in our show because, like, it's not even the same response. Like, you could be getting death threats and people like, yeah, we'll check on it, right? But this is a thing that I wanted to do different moving forward with the Yasmin breakdown is I don't want to just criticize something. I want to say, okay, well, what action can we take, right? Document, call out, report people who are making racist statements. You know how to bring it to the internet, just like the people brought to the internet the person who was working for Hilton Grand Vacations and basically told their boss and they got fired. That's what you need to do. Okay. Number 2. Support content that is promoting our sports and, our stars in a positive way. That's one of the ways that we drown out the haters. And that's one reason why I'm like, I'm tired, whatever's going on, I'm going to put a video out, right? Because that's how you drown out some of that negativity. 3rd, leave uplifting comments when you can to change the tide, right? So for all the negative comments that you see out there circulating in the internet, try to be that person that is going to include an uplifting comment. If you like that breakdown, make sure you turn on your notifications and join our Patreon page and support independent media. All right, you guys, we have another story coming up. I got my second story for you today. I hope everybody is doing good out there in YouTube land. I hope everybody is doing good. We have another story today. This is about our girl, Tyra Banks. And you may have heard a little bit about this story, but I want to make sure that we talk about her and we talk about her legacy in a way that it deserves. And I'm not sure that that's happening, right? So Tyra Banks, who was celebrated for creating America's Next Top Model, is suing Netflix for defamation. Go ahead and follow this page. I'm about to break something down. If you have been feeling the vibe that not all is well in supermodel world, you are absolutely correct. I'm about to give you 7 facts of what's going on with Tyra, Netflix, and America's Next Top Model. So here's number 1, right? Tyra filed a suit in LA federal court over Netflix's reality check Inside America's Next Top Model docuseries. Okay. She filed this as a defamation suit in June of 2026. As reported by People magazine, Tyra says the docuseries was edited to support a false and defamatory narrative. Now, as a TV producer who I've worked on several reality TV shows, I even produced Married at First Sight. I've worked on documentaries. I have to say, how a project is edited can absolutely change the narrative. Full stop. I just want to say that, my IMDb page is Yasmin Shiraz. You can look it up and see my credits, right? But I just want to say that, particularly in reality TV, someone can tell you in a meeting, we're going to portray your relationship a certain way. They don't have a contract with you saying they're going to portray your relationship a certain way. They're just telling you that. And so they can change it. And I just want you guys to understand that's sort of how even reality TV works. The second point, Tyra claims that producers cut her 3.5-hour interview down to 16 minutes. And then they reassembled it to imply she dismissed a contestant's sexual assault allegation. Now, I don't want to make this too technical, but because, again, I've worked and produced reality TV, I want to share this with you, right? When you sit down and do a documentary, depending on who you are, what the contract says, who the producers or filmmakers are, if you will get a final say in the result, all of those variables come into play, right? If you are a big star and you're doing a documentary, you may have a say. If you're not, you may not have a say. It is not equal across the board. And the reality is most people do not. So say, for example, Tyra's claim about the contestant's sexual assault allegation. Okay, so I just said that she's alleging that they're lying about how she knew about it and that she dismissed it, right? So here's the thing. Say Tyra's claim about the contestant's sexual assault allegation is true and Netflix edited that part out. The challenge comes in if she has a legal expectation or documentation that guarantees they would represent that part of the story in accordance to what she's saying, right? So if I say to you, I want you to talk about this cup that my daughter made me when she was 7, okay? And I put it in a contract and you agree you're going to talk about this cup that my daughter made me. If you don't talk about this cup, contractually, then I can say, well, you didn't live up to your part of the bargain. But if you and I just talk about a conversation and I say, well, I want you to talk about me being a mom, and you don't agree to include the cup and I don't make you write it down, there's no contractual explanation. There's no contractual expectation. And so that's where this case, what she has written down versus what they did, I would really love to see that. Now, I was taught as a filmmaker that you don't make agreements with the participants on the direction of your documentary. You can give them an idea. You can, say, hey, I want to talk about the things that I find exciting about your life. And you don't promise to them, and you say to them very upfront, the final product may be different, right? But every person who does a documentary, and the bigger the star power that you have, the more power that you have to exert over the other people who are making the film, right? But understand, everybody, it is different for every person, right? Now, but here's the thing that's interesting about this, right? That Tyra, who I respect, doing the things that she's done, and we'll get into that a little bit, but I don't know anybody in reality TV who has appeared on reality TV, say they've done 10 episodes. I don't know anybody in reality TV who would say that every single time the final cut of the episode looks like what they thought it was going to look like. I don't know anybody, because the reality is what you shoot and what the producers and the story producers, directors, everybody, the EPs, everybody who's involved, what they think is going to be a hit as an episode and what you think is going to be a hit, it's not necessarily the same. So that's very interesting to me that this is even a thing, because she's done reality television. And so the third incident, you guys, the third fact about this, she's alleging the edit falsely suggests that she couldn't remember the incident. She says unedited footage shows her confirming she did remember and take accountability. This is sort of a repeat, you guys, about what I just said. One of the things about reality TV and documentaries on reality TV is they're heavily dedicated to the story that they want to tell. A traditional documentary is dedicated to what the stories tell them. The difference is a reality TV storyteller bends, cuts, edits in ways that shape the story they want to tell far more than, say, a traditional documentarian. I bet that Tyra, in her work as an EP over another top model in terms of approving selects, which are, clips for the show, approving storylines and so forth, I bet you everyone wasn't in an agreement. So to sort of say, well, the way that they've represented me is not how I want it to be represented, which I get 1,000%. But I also think that's very much what people do in reality TV. That's been my experience. The fourth point, suing Netflix, directors Daniel Seven and More Laushi and Ever Wonder Studio for false light, defamation by implication, breach of contract, and false endorsement. Again, I just wanted to cover this story because it's very ironic in the reality TV space. If she wins this lawsuit, it should be able to open up a gate of defamation lawsuits and misrepresentation lawsuits, because one of the biggest complaints of reality stars behind the scenes when the camera is off is they're not being portrayed the way they really are. That's literally what they say, right? So reality TV has always taken lots of leaps. And so no shade, but a Netflix documentary on America's Next Top Not Model isn't going to have the same sort of stringent truth-telling rigor as, say, a documentary by Davis Guggenheim. Do you feel what I'm saying? Or Michael Moore. Like, it's a difference. Reality TV, I know it's been around now for a long time, but there was a point in time when there was no reality TV. But I would credit reality TV with opening the door of creating false narratives about real people that are presented as truths. People are presented to you as villains who aren't. People are presented to you as nice people who are villains. People are presented that they're in these loving relationships, or they're on the way to get married. They're not. It's a storyline for television. And there's so much editing that's being done, and scenes that are left on the floor, the cutting room floor, that you can't look at reality TV and expect it to be real. You know what I mean? You just can't. Now, but here's the thing, right? But where does that leave Tyra? And we're going to get into it because I am on her side. But I'm just saying, I want you guys to really see the irony, right? Reality TV manipulates a lot about the narrative. And so to sue someone for manipulating the narrative when that's really what that whole field does is a little bizarre, okay? Number 5, and I had to love her for this. Tyra also, in her lawsuit, she objects to her image being used on a companion soundtrack's cover art without authorization. So it's like, this made me laugh a little bit, and not because it was funny, but it was like, and also don't put my pretty face on anything. I don't appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? So that was really interesting. Now, the docuseries itself, it is already exposed, like, all different types of controversies, a blackface photo challenge, extreme body shaming, forced cosmetic surgery to stay competitive. Now, to me, controversy sells, so I don't have a problem with this docuseries exploring some of the already well-known controversies, right? The modeling industry, I would say, is an ugly industry no matter how pretty the people are, right? I remember recently hearing Eva Marcel say that Janice Dickinson told her to get a nose job, and Eva said, for what? You know what I mean? So forcing cosmetic surgery does not surprise me at all. And a lot of our top models today have had plastic surgery, and that's not to shame anybody, right? I don't want anybody to feel bad. That's just the truth. The 7th fact about this particular lawsuit that I wanted to share, sort of my insider point of view of being, since I have been a TV producer for such a long time. Banks says she didn't see the finished cut until February 15th, 2026, one day before it premiered, after press and promo were already underway. And this is something, again, and I hope I haven't been too technical with you guys today, but this is, again, a contractual point, right? So say, you're talking to the producers on a documentary that's about you, and you say to them, hey, I want to see it before, it's officially rolled out. And they say, okay. Well, they can show it to you before it airs, and technically a day before it airs would satisfy the contract. But that doesn't mean, like, that one day doesn't give you any time to do anything if you don't like it, right? But here's the thing that I want you guys to understand about how reality TV works is that they can tell you they're going to show it to you before it airs. That could be one day before. But showing it to you before it airs doesn't mean they're going to give you sign off approval, meaning you get to sign off on if you like what they wrote. That's two different things. And so this is what's fascinating for me. If she has all of these different things in a contract, then they're probably in breach of it. If you told me I was going to be able to see it and I was going to have editorial approval on, the result, then that's one thing. But if I just told you, oh, you can see it before everybody else sees it, and technically it's a day before, there's no breach. And so I'm very interested. And if you're doing reality TV or you enjoy it, you should be paying attention to this lawsuit, because I think that it's just very interesting to see what's going to happen. Okay, because I can see this case being dismissed. I really can see it being dismissed. And I can see it being dismissed because if all this stuff isn't in writing, it's like, yeah, we said we were going to do it the day before. They could get off so easy. Now, here's the breakdown of this situation for me personally, right? I remember when America's Next Top Model came out. I remember actually meeting producers of the show, and I remember even applying to work on the show. And I remember a lot of people having positive things to say about Tyra coming up with this idea, about her opening doors in the, modeling industry, creating the show, giving opportunities to people who wouldn't have had them. Winnie Harlow became a global fashion presence, becoming the first model with vitiligo to walk the Victoria's Secret runway. That's thanks to Tyra, right? Like, you just think for a minute, and before Winnie, who supermodel did you see with vitiligo? The answer is nobody, right? Eva Marcel has an acting and reality TV career, right? She was in season 3. She was the winner for season 3. Yaya DaCosta, successful acting career. She played Whitney. She was on Chicago Med, The Lincoln Lawyer. She was the season 3 runner up, right? So this, brand that Tyra built has opened doors for people, right? And I'm just naming those 3. So here's the thing, right? It feels like now there's a sentiment or a shift, and now people are like, well, let's tear down Tyra and let's tear her legacy down. I'm not a fan of that. I understand that we don't know what we don't know. I understand people don't do everything you like. I understand that. But she still built a brand and gave people opportunities that may have not had them otherwise. And I'm not going to be silent about that because somebody decided somewhere it was time to hate Tyra Banks. And here's another fact. Reality TV in its nature has been exploitive, right? It has been exploitative, I should say. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to talk about Tyra Banks exploiting people on America's Next Top Model, then I want you to talk about Mark Burnett, okay, with Survivor. I want you to talk about every other executive producer who's created reality TV over the last 20 years. Because here's something that people are not willing to look at. Reality TV is exploitive, period. Right? So if you're going to single her out, you better be singling out a whole lot of other people. Otherwise, don't argue with me about Tyra. Now, I want us to take some action. I want us to think about this because when I came up with the idea to do this story today, I just these are 3 things that I want to leave you with. Okay. 1, if the tide changes and all of a sudden everyone is out of favor with someone who you used to like. Ask why, right? Ask why. You're not going to get me to just dislike somebody because so-and-so said so. You ain't going to be able to do that, because to me, that's sheep behavior, right? So I like something on Monday, but you come and tell me something or whatever, or you just say, oh, it's time to dislike somebody. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I'm not saying anyone is perfect or beyond reproach. I'm not saying any of that, but I need to understand why all of a sudden I am supposed to tear down this woman's legacy. I need to understand that. And just because so-and-so said it's so, it's not going to do it. Okay. Number 2, think twice before tearing down a black woman's legacy. You know, what's very interesting about Tyra Banks and this show is that she did something that nobody was willing to do. And a lot of other black models and other people benefited. So not only did she give these people opportunities, people have jobs, you know, they have credits for this show, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now we want to tear it down, right? But who was opening the door for Winnie Harlow when she was on the show, right? Which modeling agency was, you know, beating their path to her door, right? So it's very interesting that we are so quick to like, oh, let's tear down this black woman's legacy. And here's the thing for particularly my black women viewers. If her legacy is so easy to tear down, so is yours. I'm just saying. And number 3, the third thing that troubled me about this story, and I really wanted to share, was that recognize hypocrisy when you see it. Until they put Mark Burnett through the same scrutiny as they put Tyra, all these folks who coming for her, they can all sit down. I'm just saying, that's how I feel about it, because we're singling her out for what? The modeling business was ugly. It was exploitative. It was, you know, I mean, God, it's a terrible, I mean, these people are like anorexic. They're doing all these things. They're hurting themselves. The people are encouraging them to hurt themselves. And you want to come for her? Sit down. So if you liked that breakdown, make sure you subscribe and join our Patreon page, support independent media. I have one more, you guys. I have one more for you guys today. Oh my goodness. I am doing it today. I can't help myself. You know, I enjoy this so much, just being able to share what's going on. And this is a story that is really close to my heart. I know I say that a lot, but all of these stories are close to my heart because I write the stories that really matter to me. Before getting into television, I wrote books. I think I've written now about 25 books, but authors always have a special place in my heart because we sit with an idea. Something comes to us as an idea, and without any sort of confirmation, any kind of reassurance, we take this kernel, this idea, something that has been whispered in our head, and we bring it to life from nothing, right? I could be sitting here and have an idea, and I go, I'm going to honor this idea that shot into my head from I don't know where, and I'm going to make it grow and make it prosper and what have you. And then I'm going to, after I build it and nurse it and do all of this stuff to it, I'm going to then give it out, and I'm going to send it out to the world. And when I send it out into the world and it hits the right way, millions of people are going to be transformed by what I do, by what I've done, by what I've written, right? And then these people in Hollywood, they want this thing that I've built, this thing that is so connected to me, that is the essence of my creativity, and they want it. And it feels like an honor that they want it, but then they want to change it. And do I have a right to have a problem with that? And that's what we're talking about today. So let's get into it. Famed author, co-screenwriter, and executive producer Tommy Adeyemi has some issues with her movie making it to the big screen. Go ahead and follow this page. I am about to break something down. If you have been excited about the book, The Children of Blood and Bone, coming to a theater near you, hold on. There's some fighting going on at the barbecue. I'm going to give you 7 updates of what's going on, what's happening with this movie, what's happening with this book to movie adaptation. So, again, this is a heartbreaker for those of you who support Black books and Black authors and Black movies. This is a heartbreaker. And so it's not going to get any easier. I'm just going to tell you what it is. So number one, Tommy is the author, as I said, co-writer and executive producer. And on July 4th, she publicly stated that she will not watch the Paramount adaptation of her own novel. I cannot sugarcoat this. When an author says they're not going to watch their own movie, this is a painful thing, okay? Because I have so many colleagues who are best-selling authors. I would almost say every author, I'm sure there's some, outliers, but every author probably dreams of their books becoming movies. So if there is an author out there who is literally saying, I'm not going to watch my book become a movie, I'm not going to watch my movie, it just rips my heart out, just straight up, right? Now, according to Entertainment Weekly, Adeyemi is distancing herself from the film adaptation of her novel because she was hurt and attacked behind the scenes during production. Now that's right from Entertainment Weekly. I did not interview her. I sourced this from Entertainment Weekly. The second thing I want to share with you, she revealed she blocked lead actress Amandla Stenberg, telling her not to use her name in videos and interviews again. Now, this situation escalated on social media when Adeyemi shared screenshots of a private hostile text exchange with Stenberg. The exact cause of the friction has not been publicly detailed, but Adeyemi told friends she had to, quote, lay down her sword to protect herself from behind the scenes attacks. I just want to say, these things are alleged and none of it is really confirmed, but it just is a heartbreaking thing. And I want you all to I want everybody to understand that when you create something and it's so close to you and you trust it with other people and stuff starts to happen, it is a heartbreaking thing. It's like if you got kids, trusted somebody with your children and then like they don't come home safe or something happens. I'm telling you, it's literally that kind of energy. The third thing I wanted to share, the third point I wanted to give you about this story was that there was some colorism backlash, and the fans even had some issues with the casting of Stenberg and it's probably Huso Bedu. It sparked a 2025 colorism backlash. Both actresses are lighter skinned than characters described as dark skinned in the novel. And so on the screen, this is Amandla, and she is biracial. She is, light skinned or what have you. She looks a little darker in the photo that I have up here. But the 2025 colorism backlash centers on the casting of light skinned and biracial actress Amandla Stenberg as Princess Amari in the film adaptation of this book. Readers felt the casting of Stenberg and to a lesser extent, Suso Bedu as Zeli erased canonically dark-skinned women, right? Dark-skinned Black women, and undermined the novel's core themes of colorism, okay? Man, that's a lot to take on, but let's just take it on real fast, right? when someone falls in love with a book, they take that book and they interpret the author's words, and it makes it real. And so if they said, as she said in her book, the color of onyx and copper, right? And she's describing, that's darker. So if she says somebody has darker skin and Hollywood gives you an actress that does not have dark skin, it's jarring to people. It's jarring because people are going, well, why would you cast this person if in fact you see that it says they had a skin of onyx? Okay. And Hollywood people, God bless them, right? Hollywood is about the creation of your movie and the marketing of your movie. So they may want the person who has the most box office pull, and that box office pull may not be the skin tone. I remember when Chadwick Boseman was playing Thurgood Marshall. If any of you know what the former Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall looked like, he was many shades lighter than Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman did a fantastic job in the acting of Thurgood Marshall. However, because Thurgood Marshall was a real person, it did his story a disservice, because a light-skinned man in the South in the 40s, in the 30s, whatever the time period was, would not have been treated the same as someone with the skin tone of Chadwick Boseman. No shade to Chadwick, no disrespect to Chadwick. May he rest in peace. Phenomenal actor. But when I'm looking at that movie, and again, I love him as a character, right? As an actor, right? I couldn't get past his skin tone, because that's not what the justice looked like, right? Now, so this becomes an issue for people, and particularly when you start talking about real life adaptations of stuff, right? But this is fictional. The fourth thing I want to share with you guys about this, Stenberg posted an 8-minute TikTok in February 2025 recounting a direct conversation with Adeyemi. And one of the things, I got my Black TV Film Crew shirt on today. One of the things that I think is positive is when actors and producers and writers, when people use their social media to talk about their projects, it makes people be interested. You can have somebody who is attached to your project, never want to open their mouth to say anything, never want to say, hey, this is what I'm working on. So they're not doing any of the grassroots marketing to help make your project successful and indirectly them successful. And so I just feel like her doing that showed good faith in terms of, because she has her followers and her recognitions and what have you. But I just want to say to the authors out there, to the writers out there, that the book universe and the Hollywood engine, it's rarely a smooth union or a happy marriage, right? It's really, really rare, and so that's something that, and not that it can't be, but I think the person who creates it from a kernel, and then, even if you're become the screenwriter for it or co-screenwriter or whatever the case may be, and then you give it to people who want to, really make the commercialization of your kernel, it's a little bit different, right? Those are different, thought processes. I want to share a few more, points. Adeyemi says the public perception. Adeyemi says the public perception that she retained creative control was a lie, citing years of painful behind the scenes conflict. I don't know. I feel for this young lady, on so many levels. You guys already know I try to only, cover stuff that I really care about and I can, connect to the people. But here's something that is difficult. Here's something that's going to be difficult for people to hear. Authors write books. Hollywood makes movies. The expertise is completely different, right? An author can write a book and they can think or create this, perfect universe, perfect characters, perfect dialogue, perfect description. There is no limit because it's just your imagination. You put it on the page and it's like, right? Hollywood can take that thing that you thought was perfect and go, we need this actor because they have more followers. Oh, we need this thing because this is going to bring in more people. No, this is too many locations. So instead of having 25, we really need 10. And it's not that they don't appreciate the art, right? I would say for the most part. But it's that their brain works differently. You can create something perfect in the book world, but once that book moves into Hollywood world, it becomes something different. And so, and sometimes for some authors, it becomes different from what the author initially wrote. Don't believe me? Start looking up stuff like, how did Alice Walker think about the color purple? How did she feel about, Start, how did Toni Morrison feel? Like, start Googling what's people's responses. How did Alex Haley like Roots? Like, start doing that research and you will see this huge disconnection between the person who originated it and then when it goes to Hollywood, people are having a struggle with that. And I think it's because creating a book, creating a movie in Hollywood, they're just so sometimes diametrically opposed. I mean, that's just what it is. And it's a hard thing. And it's a hardship for so many people. But here's the thing that I wanted to say, because again, I don't want to just rain on anyone's parade. For authors who want their books to become movies, do you want the opportunity or do you want to maintain complete control of your book vision on screen, even if the Hollywood experts believe something will work better? That's the fundamental question all authors have to ask themselves, right? Now, here's the thing that I'm kind of bummed about, right? The film has technically been pushed to June 2027. And I mean, not June 2027, sorry about that. The film has been pushed to January 2027 for a release. And this is a slot that the industry treats as low confidence dumping ground, right? Like, who cares about a movie in January? And so this is, as a filmmaker, and I have my own group, Black TV Film Crew, but this is the thing that makes me sad about this. When a Black film or an adaptation or whatever you want to call it, book that gets adapted, when you have strife or conflict and you're in bed with Paramount, that says to Hollywood and other studios, oh, let's not put promotions into this movie. They're quick to cut their losses, especially when it's a project involving Black people already, right? So then you get this book. It's a bestseller. It's, beautifully written. It's, whatever. And then you have people arguing. And I'm not saying you don't have something to argue about. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying that when this happens, it sets us back. And so that's why I wanted to do this video, because I want to push us forward and I want us to find a way to support Tommy and support the film in the best way that we can. Now, one of the things that I thought was great about the project so far was all the stars who were attached to it. Viola Davis is going to be in it. Idris Elba is going to be in it. Regina King, Cynthia Erivo, Lashana Lynch, and also I already mentioned Steinberg and Beidou. I think it's great to have that type of star power talking about this movie. It's going to have people excited, listen, you know how much people go hard for Viola Davis. Don't get me started. So I think for a movie such as this, you want as much star power as you can, right? And so, the star power doesn't trump the universe that the author created and all of their work, but it goes a long way to fill the theater seats, if that makes sense, and sometimes it just feels like, as an author, because I've been there myself, there are times when people have been interested in the rights to my work, and I'm like, no, like, so that's how I roll. Like, if I feel like I'm be fighting with you, I mean, all the scripts I've written, I'll just keep them, and some guy told me one time, oh, you're going to be like Prince's dad because you're not going to sell all of your stuff. And I'm like, I don't know who I'm going to be like, but if I don't sell it, I'm going to be okay with that if I feel like I have my peace of mind. Everything's not for sale. Some people are, everybody's not. So here's the breakdown here on this one. And this is our last one for tonight. Here's the breakdown. A Black woman writes the defining dark-skinned girl fantasy epic, right? She centers it on Yoruba mythology and West African tradition, right? In a genre that shut Black girls out for decades and still loses the fight over who gets to embody it on screen. And again, the book was not the problem. This is Hollywood saying, okay, well, the way that we feel we need to market it, the way we need to, you know what I mean? Like, that's where that comes from. And what I wanted to say to that is this. The problem is that Hollywood will always be Hollywood. And the way to be truish to your vision may not always be taking the Hollywood route, right? And it's such a quandary because for so many people, making it in Hollywood, right? But for what price have you sold your soul, right? If you're unhappy with it. So on the one hand, the one group that you think can take your work to the biggest audience will inevitably change components that you believe are central to the story, right? Then others who may be sensitive to your core elements don't have the marketing machine behind them or don't have the money behind them. So it's a struggle. And I just wanted us to be really real about that. And here's the point, too. A book that has broken through and speaks to colorism on so many levels, it's bar-setting storytelling as it relates to colorism and Black girls. And to lighten it and whiten it does a disservice, whether people want to filter it through a Hollywood lens or what. You know what I mean? And so that's why, I respect the author so much. I don't know everything that she's gone through, but when you create something and you end up tackling something in such a way, and then the very core of what you're tackling, somebody wants to take it away from you, or from the core of your story, it's kind of, earth-shattering, heartbreaking. So let me give you an example before we go. To tell us you will honor a story about baseball and then give the character a basketball, is changing the core of the story, right? So that's why the author Adeyemi's anger is justified. Colorism has long been swept under the rug and denied. If she didn't fight for this after the world has already blessed this book, when would she fight for it? If she didn't fight for it now, when would she fight for it? So I just wanted to share that with you. And I want to give you some 3 take actions. I want us to have 3 take actions from this, right? If you haven't read this book, read it. Read it. Read it. If you haven't purchased it, get it, put it in your collection. Black books are disappearing, right? And here's the thing that I'm going to say about this movie. Support it. Support it when it comes out, because you're supporting the author's original work. And because you may not agree with everything Hollywood does, but Black actors, Black directors, Black producers believing in the work is important. I understand Gina Prince Bythewood is the director of it. I support her work. I enjoy her work. And so 2 things can be true. We can agree that Tommy is right to be angry. We can also say, and we're going to support this, because in supporting it, we're supporting our collective creativity. If you like this breakdown, make sure you turn on your notifications, subscribe, and get up on my Patreon page and support independent media. All right, y'all. Oh, wait. All right, I was going to say, all right, peace, see you next time. I'm not seeing you next time. I am live, so I'm supposed to be checking on. Let me see if anybody is in my chat today. How is everybody going? Yes, 6 people are watching. Oh, my goodness. What's up, y'all? I'm going to say hi to the chat really quickly.
Why are you still?
Yes, hi, chat. How are you doing? Yes, I'm just going to get on here. Is it letting me get on to the chat? Hey, chat, how are you doing? Oh, yes. Hey, Lou Rogers, how are you doing? How are you doing? Did anybody have any questions? Normally, I run down the stories, and then if you guys have had any questions in the chat, I will go on and I will address the questions in the chat. But today, man, we did good. We started right on time at 7:45. And I did 3 stories tonight. We talked about the WNBA and the joint statement on racist abuse towards players, and talked about the discrepancy between how it's their reaction, how it's being treated. One is like, hey, Congress is on Caitlin Clark, but like, hey, the Black players is like, hey, we'll get back to y'all when we get back to y'all. You know what I mean? So that's real sketch. That's real sketch, And our second story was about Tyra Banks. And it seems like this unfair, if it makes any sense to you, but this unfair, criticizing and tearing down of her legacy right now. I have never been a follower. I'm someone who likes to create and march to the beat of my own drum. But it seems like the tide has turned and people have decided that she is no longer for them. And I say to that, like, you know what? I'm going to be for people until I'm not going to be there for people. But you're not going to just make me not like a person just because you don't like them. Like, you got to give me more than that. You got to give me more than that. And finally, our last story was about the book and Tommy Adeyemi talking about like the colorism. And hey, after you put your blood, sweat, and tears into this book, Children of Blood and Bone, and you start casting people that don't look like the main characters, we have a problem, because the core of the story, the skin tone, was a core of the story. So I just wanted to hop in here, say hello. Anybody got any questions, comments in the chat? I am in the chat right now. I'm in the chat right now. So if you have anything cool, I'm going to just hang out in the chat for a few more minutes. If not, I'm going to go. It has been a long day, but I have hit all of my goals today, because I had one little small goal I didn't hit, and it's a big goal, but it's, I have to do that one, but I'm gonna do that when I get off. But if you guys have anything to chat, any comments, any questions on any of the content, please say it in the chat. Hey, Reddit Milky. Oh, let me do this. Reddit Milky. Reddit Milky Way, how you doing? I just think they ruined the yes. So Reddit Milky just said, I understand what you're saying about the experts. I just think sometimes they ruin the adaptation. Yeah, I can think of a few adaptations that got ruined because they stopped consulting the writers or creators. Yeah, I think, as I shared, thank you so much for that. Reddit Milty said, great show. I agree with you 100%. But one of the things that I think is happening is where the author is creating this pure world from their head of you know what? I'm going to try to make this the best thing that I can. And that's what they're thinking about. That's not what Hollywood is thinking about. You know what I mean? Hollywood is thinking about, cost. Okay, which actor can we get to portray this person? So I used Chadwick Boseman, Reddit. I hope you were here for the whole thing, but I used Chadwick Boseman as an example. He played Thurgood Marshall. And Reddit Milky, if you remember how light skinned Thurgood Marshall was, right? So Chadwick Boseman, who was a phenomenal actor, we love him. He played James Brown, he played Jackie Robinson, and he also played Thurgood Marshall. The skin tones of all three of those men were different. And though James Brown was closer in skin tone to Jackie Robinson, James Brown was way far from Thurgood Marshall, right? So why did they pick Chadwick Boseman to play these three people? They probably thought he was the most talented to play the role. So colorism and skin tone is often set aside. We were talking about somebody, Reddit Milky, did you talk about this with me with Zoe Saldana and Nina Simone? Now I feel like that particular pairing, I didn't understand it. But what do I think it is? Well, Zoe Saldana has something like the highest box office sales or whatever of any actor, right? Of any black actor. She has the highest, right? And so people are saying, oh, well, if she has so many billions in box office dollars, she's way more popular than, say, some other actor or actress who, say, I don't know her numbers right now, but say she's at 2 billion. I mean, she's high up there because of all the Avatar movies. Say she's at 2 billion. They would rather take a risk. Hollywood would rather take a risk with Zoe Saldana of 2 billion box office dollars than someone else who might have 1 million or 2 million. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why. But the thing of it is, with Zoe Saldana, to me, not to take away from her and not to take away from the Avatar movies, but you playing a character that's painted so they never see your face is not the same to me as when Will Smith was doing all those movies on July 4th, because now the fans see you. So I don't know that correlates. Was she a better Nina Simone to the fans because she was recognizable? I don't think so. I don't think people recognize her to the value that she has at the box office, because in some of those big $1 billion hits, she was in complete makeup. You couldn't tell it was her. Y'all feel where I'm coming from? So I just wonder if that's the case. But I just feel for authors too, because it's hard to detach. I mean, I've written, like I said in the live, I've written so many books, and like some of them, like I don't want to let go. And some that I sold a couple books to Simon and Schuster. Like I'm in the process now. I'm buying back the rights to my work. I'm buying the rights back to my work. I don't even want people to have it, because when you allow someone to buy your work, they now get to decide what they're going to do with it. And it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter that you don't like what they said. And that's why today, you guys, when I talked about the Tyra case, what she's saying that they're doing, or what she's accusing them of, or what she's alleging about defamation, that's literally how reality shows are. I mean, I did Married at First Sight, intervention, accident, suicide, murder. I have done a lot of shows. Y'all can look me up on IMDb. I'm Yasmin Shiraz. Y'all can be like, dang, she's been doing all these TV shows. You can look it up. Okay? So what she's alleging that they're doing, that's literally what they do in reality TV shows. If you look at stuff like the Real Housewives franchise, a lot of those women who are being portrayed as not liking each other, some of them actually do like each other. Some of them who are pretending to be friends, they can't stand each other. You see what I'm saying? So it's not new to lie in a documentary style or misrepresent. If lie is too strong of a word, it's not unique to misrepresent the facts. I mean, just not at all. Yes. So Reddit Milky says, I have nothing against Zoe. I love several of her movies. I liked Colombiana too. I think I was all for her after that. Amongst others, but I refused to watch it. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. We talked about like, bringing in the people from the UK as well. We talked about that. And I don't know. I just feel like the colorism issue, I think it's a strong issue. And as I said at the end of the live or what have you, I get why the author is fighting. Colorism is a serious issue, and you have, someone being portrayed as dark and you're giving it to a light-skinned person. That does take away some of the volume, right, of the story, because listen, a light-skinned person in this world, in this fantasy world that she created, it's not the same. It's not the same. And people want to act like it is, and we all know it isn't. So why are we lying? Why are we still lying about that? We don't have to lie about that, right? People are treated differently based on their skin tone. It happens. Like, why are we acting like it doesn't? Yes, I totally agree about the Tyra situation. Yeah, I hate how everyone is turning on her. I think especially Miss J and them sat next to her and said nothing until the money ran out. Yeah, I don't want to be profane, so let me find another way to say this. They're fickle. People are fickle, and I remember applying to be a producer on America's Next Top Model. I didn't get hired to write and to produce for them or cast for them. I did apply, but I remember in that time that people enjoyed, the show, working on the show. I remember people saying great things about her, giving these opportunities or whatever. And I just don't like it. I mean, I'm sure you guys can tell I'm super biased and pro black woman or whatever. I will die on that hill. But I just don't like this idea that we're okay with tearing down someone's legacy. For her to have this show that she's created for all these many years, and to have launched so many careers, employed so many people, given people so many opportunities, and now all of a sudden we feel like we got to throw her under the bus. No, ma'am. Y'all can do it. I won't be throwing nobody under the bus myself. And my whole thing is, if we're going to die on the hill of exploitation, if we're going to, if that's what we're dying on today, like we're like, well, you know what, everybody who we feel is exploitative, we gonna throw all them people on the bus. Then the people who created Real Housewives, that franchise, listen, if they're not exploiting people, my name ain't Yasmin. I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but I'm just saying, if people gonna die on the hill of exploitation, then take all the EPs, everybody who's created a show, and you cast every last one of them out. Mark Burnett and all them Survivor shows, all of them, okay? All of them. You know what I'm saying? So to judge Tyra using a ruler that you are not measuring anybody else by, I want to know who MTV, all of them different Teen Mom. You want to talk about people being exploited? The Teen Mom franchise, 16 and pregnant. Come on now, exploited. Okay, these kids are up here, they're exploiting their stuff, getting paid. Yeah, come on. I'm not even going to go into that. But I'm just saying, where are y'all's outrage on the exploitation of those people? Where's the outrage? There's none. So this is selective outrage targeted at her because she's a black woman. And I'm not saying, listen, I don't know Tyra. I don't know if she's a good person, bad person, or whatever. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to throw her under the bus and try to end her legacy over exploitation, there's a couple people in front of her. If that's what you're going to do, there's a couple people in front of Tyra Banks. I'm just saying, it's a whole lot of people in front of Tyra Banks if we're going to talk about exploitation. If we're going to talk about reality TV, like I said, you have all of those, the Teen Mom shows, them things done spun off all into the doggone universe. They over in the UK, they're everywhere. If we're going to talk about, if exploitation is, in fact, the hill that we're going to die on, okay? I mean, it's a whole lot of people on that hill. That's all I'm trying to say. It's just a whole lot of people. It's a whole lot of people on that hill. All right, you guys, if you have any other comments, let me know. I'm trying to read my thing. Okay, all right. I think I'm done on that. Let me see. Let me move it up. Okay, I'm just trying to move. Yes, yeah, all of these shows. Thank you so much. All of these shows are exploiting. They have to sensationalize it so people can be interested. It's no worse than Flavor Flav. This is what I'm saying. This is the only point that I'm making, right? I'm saying that if you're going to hate Tyra for whatever the sensationalism of America's Next Top Model, please hate all the other reality TV shows. Please, and your core franchises, things like Real Housewives of it. I don't want to say Real Housewives of Atlanta, but Real Housewives, that whole franchise, Utah, wherever they at, Salt Lake, New Jersey, whatever, all the things that they did on MTV. The people where there was the Jim Wash and go to bed. I don't know what he was saying, but whatever, them people on the Jersey Shore, all of them, you know what I'm saying? When you think about it, y'all, what reality TV shows don't be exploiting people? Which ones? Point them out. I want to see them because they all do. They all exploit people. And that's the point, that's the point that I'm trying to make. And I just feel like I don't know. I since I've been getting back on social media and paying attention. I just feel like black women be catching strays for no reason, and I feel like Tyra Banks most certainly catches strays. And again, I'm not saying that she's done everything right and she's perfect and she's above reproach. I'm not even saying that, but I'm saying like, wait, if you criticizing her on this show, you better line up all these other shows, all this crap that they done poison our minds with. Come on now. I mean, it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them right now. It's a lot of them, and, they're misleading people. They're misleading people, to say the least. Let me see. Okay. All right, cool. Yes. All right. Yes. So everybody, thank you. Reddit Milky Way, how have you been doing? Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you guys for watching tonight. I come on now 7:45 on Mondays and Thursdays, and then we have new episodes on Monday through Saturday at 11 a.m. So I cut them up and I put them up on at 11 a.m. But I have been talking about my Patreon page because I really want this to work. So I want you guys to support our Patreon page. We have memberships, 5, 10, and I think 25 or what have you. Yes. So exactly, like, who gave Tyra the green light? I'm sure people will have RuPaul on a cross. Yes, let's not put RuPaul on the cross. But yes, I know exactly what you're saying. All I know is we love these shows. And I mean, and that's what I'm saying, guys, is like, people are real quick. Yasmin Shiraz is the Patreon. Let me see if I can put it up here. Let me get it up here real fast. Yeah, but all of it to me, RuPaul, let me see. Okay, here we go. Let me see here. It's going to let me pop out chat. Let me see here. Oh, here we go. But RuPaul is also, he's probably going to be up for the taking at some point, but I'm just saying that I don't know that there is a more prolific reality TV producer than Mark Burnett. He does the Survivor shows. He does a lot of shows. I have colleagues in the industry that have worked for Mark Burnett. I'm not going to violate their trust and say what, their working conditions are. But all I'm going to say is that if people start looking into reality TV, you're going to find bigger offenders than Tyra Banks. I'm telling y'all that 110%. Y'all gonna find all sorts of shenanigans if you're willing to look. And I feel I don't like what I see in society right now, where it seems like, anything with black women, we just gonna put a target on their back. We're gonna put a target on their back, and we're gonna tear them down. So I just want to be way more focused on, highlighting these issues, highlighting something that we can do or what have you, and sort of changing that conversation, because it's crazy. Even the story I did today about the WNBA, basically the black players who are saying, hey, I'm getting death threats, I'm getting, all this type of racism stuff is coming towards me. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Let's talk to you. Let's create an ongoing dialogue. Let's hit you later, basically, right? And Caitlyn gets filed, and they're like, yo, we want a congressional hearing on what y'all doing about it. You know what I'm saying? That's not equitable. And getting filed and getting a death threat, they like way different. And I'm going to say one is way more escalated than the other. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say that. I'm going to say to you that that's way higher. And so I don't know. I don't like it, but we're going to, are y'all getting ready for the US Open? The US Open is in New York. So y'all know your girl going to be on. Y'all know, I got my tennis people in the building. We're going to be lit when September get here, y'all. We're going to be lit. I'm going on vacation soon, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you guys on vacation with me, when I go. And so we're going to do a live. Actually, I think I'm going to be back. Let me see. No, I think I'll be back. I don't know. Let me see. I might be on the flight. But anyway, if I'm not, I'm going to take you guys with me on my flight. I'm only doing a little short thing, hanging out with some people, but it's going to be a good time. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Put them in the chat. If you have any comments, I love my people. I love to talk to y'all about what's going on. And I'm always wanting feedback on different topics of what we're talking about. I'm heavily biased in favor of Black women. Not that I don't support the fellas, but I feel like my audience is more out there connecting with Black women. So, all right, you guys, it is 9:16 for me. So I'm going to go unless you have something else in the chat. I really, really appreciate y'all. Are y'all watching the WNBA All-Star game? Let me ask y'all that real fast before I leave. Are you watching this weekend? I want to know. I did, you guys, I did a video today. I uploaded a video. Oh crap. I didn't upload my video I did a video today about Olivia Miles. She is breaking all the freaking records, you guys. She over there, in Minnesota giving a master class on how to be a point guard. Let me find out. Okay. Let me find out. She's up there giving a master class, you guys, on how to be a point guard. If you get a moment, watch the video. It's called Olivia Miles Better Than the Other Rookies. And no shade to the other rookies, but man, she just breaking. She was the number 2. She was the number 2. And so it's funny too how getting on the right team or getting on a team changes how your career goes. Because had AZ been on a different team where she was needed more, she would probably have higher stats. She would probably be getting more time. And so I wonder, 5 years from now, how she's going to feel about her choice of where, she was drafted and this and that and whatever. I wonder how she's going to feel about that because, in the video that I just did today on Olivia Miles, when she came in there, they was like, yo, we need you. And so she's balling out. She's like, oh, you need me? Let me go. Let me do what I got to do. You know what I mean? And so all my naturalistas, this is my hair wash day. That's my hair a little crazy because this is the hair wash day. So it's still, I don't know. I don't think it's wet anymore, but it's my hair wash day, people. I know it's hard, but I had to do it. I had to do it today. So yes. So if you guys are naturalistas like me, y'all know how it is. That first day be crazy. All right. So everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. I will see you live on Monday at 7:45 Eastern time to talk about We Got Receipts and what will be the